I welcome the members of the public and the media to the council meeting and remind you that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed. I would ask for everyone to please turn off your mobile phones to silent mode. Please be aware that the hearing loop is available in the council chamber. Council staff members are able to assist you with this at any time during the meeting. Please remain quiet in the audience so everyone can hear the meeting. Anyone disrupting the meeting may be asked to leave. Tonight you will see 14 reports in open council and 0 in closed council, a transparency rate of 100%. Please stand as I call upon Reverend Ray McCloskey from the United Church in Australia to read the prayer.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we ask you to give your blessing to this council, guiding us so that the decisions we make might truly be for the well-being of the people of the city of Casey. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing as I call upon Deepika Chandra from the Casey Multi-Faith Network to read the faith statement.
Good evening all. The Casey Multi-Faith Network exists to promote peace, harmony and understanding, and to do so in partnership with Casey Council and the wider Casey community. We aim to spread knowledge and clarity about what different religions or worldviews believe, teach and practice. We believe that all members of religions and faiths have the right to peacefully practice and celebrate their own religion in a shared attitude of friendly coexistence and cooperation with all other peoples. Thank you.
Please be seated. The City of Casey acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land and pays respects to their elders past and present. Councillor Aziz had previously been granted leave until the 1st of March 2020. Councillors, are there any other apologies? Yep. Councillor Kersani?
Madam Mayor, Councillor Gillich gives her apologies.
Thank you. Is there a mover and seconder to accept the apologies of Councillor Gillich? Moved by Councillor Kersani, seconded by Councillor Saybuddin. Any dissent? That is carried. Confirmation of minutes. Is there a mover and seconder to confirm the minutes of the council meeting held on the 4th of February 2020? Councillor Rowe to move, seconded by Councillor Ablett. Is there any dissent? That is carried. Does any councillor have any declarations of conflicts of interest or personal interest that they wish to declare? Interest must also be declared immediately before the consideration of the item. No. Ms Frost, are there any questions tonight?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, we have received a number of questions tonight. The first question has been received from Dale Walker. Is Dale Walker in the chamber? Dale Walker? No. So we'll move on. Second question has been received from Mr Brendan Brown. I believe I've seen Mr Brown. Thank you, Mr Brown, for your question. Why does nearly every single trip on the Casey Travel Register dating back to June 2018 only have an estimated cost rather than the actual total cost? And this will be answered by the Manager Governance.
Council's Governance Department maintains a travel register as per requirements of the Local Government General Regulations 2015, Regulation 12. This contains up-to-date information as reported to the Governance Department and can be inspected as per the requirements of the Local Government Act. In addition, a public register, which is over and above the requirements of the Act, is located on Council's website and updated every 3 months. Costs listed as estimates often result in delays attributed to credit card statements, conversion charges and reimbursement claims, which together are reported as a final cost. Council officers will ensure the website version is updated for all entries in the next quarterly update due in March.
Thank you. Our next question is also from Mr Brown. Thank you. How many council-funded overseas trips has Councillor Wayne Smith been on during his time as councillor at the City of Casey? This will be answered by the Manager Governance.
Under the Local Government Act 1989 and the Local Government General Regulations 2015, Council is required to make a register available which provides details of all interstate and overseas travel for the past 12 months. During the current term of Council, 2016 to 2020, Councillor Smith has had 4 paid trips international destinations.
Thank Thank you. Our next two questions are from Mr Gary Page. I believe Mr Page is... Thank you, Mr Page. He was... Thank you. Yes, there is. Concerning councillor conduct panels, section 81C in the Local Government Act, what steps are currently available to the council to resolve the matters given in sworn evidence to the IBAC inquiry? And this question will be answered by the Manager Governance.
Council could seek the establishment of a conduct panel to hear allegations of misconduct. The matters made public in IBAC's hearings would likely exceed this definition and be classified as gross misconduct. Allegations of gross misconduct is defined as behaviour that demonstrates that a councillor is not of good character or is otherwise not fit and proper person to hold the office of councillor. These can be brought by the Chief Municipal Inspector, who is appointed by the Minister for Local Government. Given this and the IBAC investigation currently on foot, Council deferred any action pending IBAC's investigation.
And our final question tonight is also from Mr Page concerning section 81B, application to councillor conduct panels in the Local Government Act. It would appear an application for a finding of misconduct or serious misconduct can be made by the council, a group of councillors or any single councillor. In relation to the sworn evidence at the IBAC inquiry, what in the Local Government Act has allowed the council or councillors to delay making applications for misconduct or serious misconduct to a councillor conduct panel? That question will be answered by the Manager Governance.
The Act articulates who may make an application for a councillor conduct panel. It does not confer an obligation to make an application on any councillors, the council or the Chief Municipal Inspector.
There are no further questions.
Thank you, Ms Frost. Councillors, are there any items to be withdrawn? Councillor Cristani.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 7.10.
Councillor Ablett. 7.9, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Councillor Stapleton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 7.11.
Okay. Councillor Smith.
7.5.
Thank you. All right. Is there a mover and seconder to note the report? Sorry. Oh, yeah, to note the report in 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.6, 7.7, 7.8. Is there a mover? Councillor Stapleton, seconded by Councillor Rosario. Is there a dissent? No, that is carried. Councillor Smith for 7.5.
Madam Mayor, the recommendation on page 238, I'll be moving.
Thank you. And the seconder, Councillor Rosario. Is there any dissent? Continue.
Thank you. Back in the dark ages, when I first got elected, when I had black hair, the issue of the landfill at Hampton Park was an issue then. It's got worse over the years, of course, as we all know, and through a variety of decisions, whether we think they were good or bad, planning landfill structure has been allowed to operate. It's still got a life until estimated 20, or the permit allows a life till 2040. An opportunity has come up as part of the deal of operating that landfill and the permits that they had, was that at the end of the time of the landfill, parts of the property had to come back to, or be given to council for council use. The essence of this report is that the site that was part of the agreement, the part of the lot that was the agreement to hand over to council, was probably not the best decision, not the best lot to get. It's the lot that will have a fair bit of rehabilitation involved, and when the landfill ceases to operate, it will take a number of years to rehabilitate and hand over. What's being proposed is that we take another section of the land, Lot 1, that wasn't part of the deal. We weren't going to get that part of the land, but the proposition that Councillor Rosario and I are both supportive of, as are the officers, that we accept the transfer of Lot 1 instead of Lot 4. It's a slightly smaller piece of land, but the beauty of it, the attraction is there is no rehabilitation required. So the land could technically be handed over to us tomorrow. It's not going to be, but it could be handed over and we could do something with it reasonably quickly. So the proposal is that we accept the offer of Lot 1 instead of Lot 3. We believe that the Lot 1 is of a size that will enable us to construct some new football ovals, possibly a couple of football ovals, a couple of soccer ovals, and some netball courts. So for Hampton Park, it's a fantastic outcome. Robert Booth Reserve, which is our main reserve in Hampton Park, suffers because of lack of space. It's landlocked. This would give us an opportunity to offer, whether it's the clubs that are currently there or other clubs, because we know if it became available, clubs would come out of nowhere to be part of it. So we think it's a good deal. Council and the public get hold of the land much quicker and enables us to develop it. The process will still take a couple of more years, at least, possibly a few more, but we're just not 100% certain. But it's certainly much earlier than 2040 and certainly a much better outcome in terms of sporting fields and facilities that the public, that we know we need, the public know they need and will want. So I think it's a good outcome. There still will be the issue with the landfill in terms of smell. Both Councillor Rosario and I live either side of the landfill, and this summer particularly I've copped it fairly bad in terms of the odour, and I know Councillor Rosario, he's probably just a touch closer than me, and he certainly cops it. So good news for residents down the track, but this is a good one in terms of sporting facilities. So I commend it to Council to accept. I thank the officers and look forward to. I won't be around as councillor to see it, but hopefully I'll be there to see it and be part of it.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Is there any dissent? That is carried. Councillor Ablett for 7.9.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move that in my name, please.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Stapleton. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to read out a few main points of the item in regard to the construction of Railway Road and Bellardo Road in Clyde. This contract is for the construction of approximately 1 kilometre of new sealed roadway in the Clyde Township, and it's fantastic that it's happening. As most councillors would know and most people would know, most of the unmade roads are in the Balla ward, and we're gradually getting those roads made to the pleasure of the people. This is very close to the school. We brought forward the sealing of the roads around the school only a couple of years ago to the welcome of all the parents dropping kids off at school there. Works will be delivered in 2 stages. Stage 1 comprises the construction of the remainder of Railway Road and the Bellardo Road intersections with Valletta Street and Railway Road. Stage 2 is the construction of Bellardo Road between Valletta Street and Railway Road. The works include asphalt pavement surface, curb and channel, footpaths, drainage, traffic light management and devices, and also public lighting. The works have been a high priority for local residents who have been advocating for some time, so this is a great outcome and will lead to a safer road and pedestrian environment for the Clyde Township, particularly the hundreds and hundreds of children and parents who visit the Clyde Primary School. There will also be a significant reduction in dust currently caused by traffic using these unsealed roads. Works are to be funded from a mixture of development contribution funds and council rates. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ablett. Is there any dissent? That is carried. Councillor Cristani, 7.10.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move the recommendation in my name 7.10 in relation to the Endeavour Hills Men's Shed.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Stapleton, second.
Thank
can
you,
introduce.
Councillor Stapleton, and I want to thank Councillor Stapleton, former Mayor, for her support, as well as colleagues in the Endeavour Hills Men's Shed. We're at the final post now for awarding the contract. So this deals with the approval of the Endeavour Hills Men's Shed construction. We look forward to seeing that being constructed. And I want to thank the Endeavour Hills Men's Shed because they worked tirelessly, they lobbied, and they are an amazing community group who have served the community, not just through the Men's Shed, but for their entire lives. We're talking about men in their twilight years who have been great family men, who have been fathers, who are amazing husbands, who serve the community in so many capacities. And now this is our way to say thank you as well, to ensure that a men's shed is established and they have somewhere further to serve and to go and to network. So I commend that to the Chamber, Madam Mayor, for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any dissent on that item? There is no dissent. That is carried. Councillor Stapleton on 7.11.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to move that recommendation in my name. And if I
Is
could
there a
ask-
seconder for that?
Sorry.
Councillor Rowe, thank you.
Oh,
Introduce.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I'd just like to thank the council officers for the amazing work that they've done on getting this to to where things are at this stage. This was all with Councillor Ablett's agreement. Was an initiative that I had as mayor, but also looking at both information and support services that cover our city. So Casey North Information and Support Service, which is already well underway with bigger accommodation and more capacity to be able to serve those most in need. With Casey, it's now called the Community Information Service Cranbourne, I think, but in any case, we know it as CIS. CIS actually had very little capacity to be able to co-locate services, which meant that people with mental health issues, people with financial issues, people that needed to see other services would have to battle either the roads or the public transport system and get to services in Dandenong, and this just meant that the majority of them did not travel that far. It's very lengthy, and if you can imagine a person with having a mental health crisis, the last thing they want to do is hop on a bus with other people or a train. They really need the services where they are. So what is very interesting about this is that we're actually going to do a bit of a swap. So where where CIS is currently, they're actually going to move into the Old Shire office, which is currently being worked on, and then the co-locatable services will be where CIS is now, or that's as loosely as I understand it. But how fantastic it is to really give credence to the wonderful organisation that CIS is, and also to Casey North Information and Support Service. And yes, I wish them every success into the future. And if there's anybody there that wants a really good organisation to support, that would certainly be it. So thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stapleton. Is there any dissent? That is carried. Is there a mover and seconder to receive and note the record of Assembly of Councillors as listed? Moved by Councillor Rowe, seconded by Councillor Rosario. Is there any dissent? That is carried. Notice of motion 3264, Churchill National Park and Listerfield Park Management Plan. Councillor Cristani.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to, it's my honour actually to move this motion in my name. If we could just have it up there. Oh, no, that's the urgent business. Can we have Madam Mayor, I'd love to have your seconder.
Oh, sure. We'll just wait for the.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's seconded by myself. Is that all
Thank
right?
you.
Thank you.
And seconded by, yes, thank you.
Introduce, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This deals with Listerfield Park Management Plan amendment and also lobbying for improvement of our recreation services provision, particularly with mountain bike trails. I was contacted by Ben Reeves, the Advocacy Manager at Listerfield District Trail Riders. He says they are a mountain bike club with over 400 paid members, reaching over 150 different postcodes from around Melbourne. They run 10 low-key... Actually, sorry to pause for a moment. We have that slideshow that I sent photos and I just want to get a feel for, show you exactly what they do. They look like they're having a lot of fun, which is great. They run 10 low-key Friday night races and one major race event at Listerfield Park annually, plus regular weekly monthly rides, including a ladies-only monthly ride by women for women, by women for women. We have 5 women in our 25-strong committee. Recently, we have kicked off a kids' family monthly rides as well. On top of all that, we volunteer over 1,000 hours annually into Listerfield Park. I just want to pause for a moment. This is 1,000 volunteer hours to improve Listerfield Park for our Casey residents and obviously for the wider Casey community beyond. I don't know anyone around this area that hasn't gone and enjoyed Listerfield Park. They maintain the 22-kilometre of dedicated single mountain bike track. Listerfield Park has just been assessed as having the busiest mountain bike trail network in Australia, with 9 of the top 10 busiest mountain bike tracks in Australia being found at Listerfield. Who would have thought? I actually didn't know that. I quote Ben, who says, "We're pretty proud of our little park that your council borders, with no doubt your constituents likely to use on a regular basis. We are in the position that our dedicated mountain biking trails are getting very busy. Especially with the huge investments in regional towns around the country, our sport is growing rapidly. Sadly, to date, very little has been invested in mountain bike infrastructure around Metro Melbourne, in particular when compared to the millions invested regionally. They have issued, or they have acquired an economic impact statement. They've actually spent thousands on that to get a thorough assessment, and I can send a link to anyone who wants to access that. There's a great case in order to invest in mountain bike riding. Casey does very well at recreation provisions, so I'm sure that this can be taken up. Some quick facts, and I'm almost done, about Listerfield for you and the mountain bike trails. State mountain bike course built in 2006 was for the 2006 Commonwealth Games. Because of this, Listerfield is considered the home of mountain bike racing, mountain biking in Victoria. According to our economic impact assessment, the Listerfield mountain bike trails are the busiest trails in Australia, as we said, 9 out of the top 10. And Listerfield has just over 7,029 ride logs and only 22 kilometres of trail. So that's the evidence of how busy they really get. Madam Mayor, with your support and my colleagues around the chamber, this is to consider in the framework of the Listerfield Park Management Plan that the protective areas won't inhibit, because they actually do coexist together, ensuring that we conserve the parks at the same time we provide recreation for our residents. So thank you, Madam Mayor. I commit that to the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any dissent? That is carried. Are there any petitions that councillors wish to present? No. Are there any urgent business items? Councillor Cristani.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'll like to move, it's urgent because it deals with emergency communication for a very hilly area in City of Casey, and there's a fire-prone area.
So we have a mover and seconder for Councillor Rhodes, a second that it's urgent.
Yes.
And then you can move your...
That's
Is there
right.
any dissent? That is carried.
Thank you. I'll just wait for the words to be up on screen. I'll read it because it's not in the report. This was brought to me about within the last week, and I felt it's no time like the present to work on this one. So, Madam Mayor, I'll read it out before I get a seconder. That council write to the member for Latrobe, the Honourable Jason Wood MP, and the Honourable Paul Fletcher MP, Federal Minister for Communications, Cyber Safety and the Arts, to request the area of Harkaway have expedited phone service infrastructure installed to achieve the appropriate phone coverage. Madam Mayor?
Is there a seconder? Councillor Stapleton, is there any dissent? You can introduce, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stapleton. Madam Mayor, I was brought to my attention about just how concerning not having access to emergency phone services, in the coverage rather, in Harkaway. We do so much for regional Australia, but we have regional parts of Casey that need the basic services like phone coverage. It is a fire-prone area, so we do need to see those services. And while I'm at it, they need to consider sewage services and transport. But let's just talk about phones tonight. So, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to write and see if they can move it along to get these services for the Harkaway region. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any dissent? That is carried. I will now be reading out a statement from myself and give the opportunities for councillors to say a few words after myself. So, as our residents and councillors know, the City of Casey is one of the fastest growing municipalities in Casey, with over 52 young families moving in each week. Currently, we have 360,000 residents. Our Casey councils, past and present, have been working hard to deliver the infrastructure and services our community needs. Casey's ambitious infrastructure, the building of our award-winning Bunjil Place, award-winning designs of childcare centres, much-needed roads and exemplary sporting facilities across the city are just some examples of outstanding results we have achieved for our community, of which I am very proud of, and there's so much more to do. Then there are smaller ward projects we all have championed to make sure that no one misses out, and one that I am proud of, the development of the synthetic athletics track in Edwin Flack. Our council is diverse. With 4 women, 4 people from multicultural backgrounds, and coming from a range of professional and employment backgrounds. Our services are outstanding and we always seek to improve them. We have a proud annual study tour program to develop senior students into our future and our civic leaders. Our community events and the arts have been exceptional, led by some dedicated councillors past and present. Sport and recreation is our priority to keep our community in good health. Today, I know we have a particularly difficult day with the news that our City of Casey dismissal as following the independent monitor's report. Though we only received this report today, there appeared to be no concrete evidence of underperformance with many of our issues identified by the monitor common to most councils in the state. This state government decision will leave our Casey community in the hands of state-appointed administrators and residents with no democratic election until October 2024. This controversy has unfortunately overshadowed the good work achieved by this and predecessing councils, and I'm sure we all regret this. As the youngest mayor to serve the City of Casey and as a councillor for the past 7 years, I would like to thank the Edrington Ward for their continued confidence in me. I'm deeply honoured to have served our amazing community. Before our democratic elected councillors are removed from office, I wanted to thank Casey's communities, organisations, businesses and volunteers for their tireless work in our community. Colleagues and staff, I say without hesitation, the best part of being a councillor is working with our Casey community, which is passionate and committed to achieving the best that we can achieve for everyone. And this is the commitment I think around the table all of us share, and I hope that we remain committed to serving our community now and into the future. Thank you. Councillors would like to say something. Councillor Stapleton.
Could I just go after the Deputy Mayor? Would that be all right? Just defer to Councillor Rowe.
Councillor Rowe, would you like to go first? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wasn't going to say anything this evening at all. Unusual, I know, but I will. I look back over the last, since 1988. I was a councillor at the Shire of Cranbourne. Councillor Smith still had black hair. And I was a councillor for the Langwarrin ward of the Shire of Cranbourne. From there, I was fortunate enough to be pre-selected and elected by the residents of Cranbourne to be the first Member of Parliament in the Victoria Parliament for Cranbourne. And I served in that position for 10 years. During that time, Councillor Smith and I became adversaries and friends, different sides of politics, but we had one thing in common: to do the right thing by the people we represented. And I'm pleased to be able to say that we've done it all the way through for the last, it's nearly 40 years, Wayne. Bloody hell, that's a long time, mate. During that period of time, I was able to get electrified rail line to Cranbourne, to get Cameron Street made under the amalgamation of councils when we as a government amalgamated Cranbourne with the City of Berwick. And it was a road, and Cameron Street has still got the same bitumen on as it had 30 years ago, unfortunately. but I understand the Vic Roads have now declared it, and it will be made after 30 years to a divided road. In addition to that, we were able to achieve the TAFE. We got the Terry Vickerman Centre up and running with government funds and council cooperation. We were able to bring in the Cranbourne Integrated Care Facility, which took over the old Shire offices and in Cranbourne, and which is now part of the Monash Health Group. In addition to that, Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor, we achieved many social gains for Cranbourne and then the city of Casey. So I guess after that period of time, and Wayne and I, as I said, have been around for a long time and been part of that, I've been lucky to serve in the Cranbourne Council, which was effectively a rural council being pushed into becoming a metropolitan council. We had a whole lot of farmers, we had builders, we've had Katie Ryan and a couple of others on the council, and we achieved a lot for Cranbourne then. And then when I went into Parliament, Wayne came into council and picked up the cudgels of doing things in Hampton Park. And I was fortunate my electorate took in all of the Shire of Cranbourne, which was an absolutely magnificent place to represent. It's a place that had the desire to grow, but the heart of a country town. It had a soul, and it still does. The people of Cranbourne still have that country heart. They look after each other. They look after the community. They are proud of what they've got, and they are proud of the fact that we and successive councils before us have delivered to them all of those things needed by the rampant growth that has been placed upon it. And one might say too that with this growth, that's been lumped onto the council and the people of Cranbourne and Casey to absorb. We've been neglected for years in state funding. The council before I got on it had implemented a very rigorous and robust program of lobbying of state and federal governments, regardless of what colour they were. But that program has bought them the ire of anything of the Labor government in the past. But I can attest as a Liberal member for Cranbourne that I copped the same stuff. I was pushed to get money for Cranbourne, and I was pleased and proud to do it. And it's a normal process in government, be it local or federal, that we listen to the community. We address their concerns and we get the funds to build the projects that they want. And as a result of that, I, as a member of the government, was pressured by this council. So the council's not been any different for 30 to 40 years. It has always advocated against governments to make them realise that if they don't provide the money, they'll get voted against. And we've been very, very successful in doing that. It's unfortunate that with some of the incidents that have been brought to the attention by an inquiry that I don't think any of us were aware of at all. The Monitor's report was bland and somewhat historical, but none of them qualified the barrier, jumping the barrier for dismissal of council. But having said that, I'm proud to have been here for the period of time that I have, and that's over the last 7 years as a councillor. and my 10 years as a Member of Parliament and my 3 years as a councillor at Cranbourne. I love this tape. I love it.
Thank you. Councillor Stapleton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make just a speech that is one of gratitude. And it is with much sadness that I'm now aware that we're no longer going to be councillors in the very near future. For myself, after 11 plus years, I look back and feel with a great sense of gratitude for the very privileged opportunity that I've had, that I've been given to serve the Mayfield ward and the City of Casey more broadly. The Casey community have been the eyes and ears and have told me what it is that is needed in the community, and it's been my honour to have represented them in any way that I could. My objective has always been to help people and to ensure that I delivered on outcomes. What an opportunity and what a truly wonderful experience. When I was first elected, I knew that I had a real duty, and that was to do my best. What I didn't realise is how much I would love my role, how passionate I would feel about such an amazing community, and how wonderful it would be to see so many infrastructure and services delivered that would help so many people. Thank you to my fellow councillors. Thank you to Madam Mayor for leading us through this time. But thank you to my fellow councillors, both past and present. I've learnt so much from each and every one of you, and some of you have been incredibly supportive of my projects and endeavours to help the community. Thank you to our legacy councillor, Wayne Smith, who's been here, I think, 27 years with a hiatus in between. Is that right, Wayne? But thank you so much for the guidance and the mentoring that you've been provided and the very amazing sense of humour that you've shared with us. Thank you to our CEO, Glenn Patterson, to the directors, managers, officers, staff. Without you, we couldn't have achieved what we have. A special mention to our admin team, Gavin, Carol and Carling. We could not have functioned as well if you were not the hard-working professional team that you are. A special thank you to Holly. Thank you to our amazing catering and security staff and our front of house staff. You truly go over and above to look after us and the community and to keep us safe. Thank you to all those who voted for me and helped me over the past 4 campaigns. Thank you to all those who have taken time to write, phone and tell me what is needed in our community. Thank you to the individuals and the community groups who have taken me and my son Pete into your trust and hearts. This has meant so much and was totally unexpected. Thank you to all those who have been such amazing support to me personally and as a councillor, especially during this current period. Thank you to all of those in the gallery tonight for whatever reason that you're here. But most of all, thank you to those who have come along to support us, and that's the majority of you. Thank you also to a wonderful lady, Robin Zeddens, who is here at every council meeting taking notes, and she's a wonderful barometer as to whether we're getting it right or not. And Robin, I'd like to personally thank you, and could we give you a round of applause, please? I've got so many wonderful friends here, and they started off as residents, and isn't that a wonderful thing to attest to? If I could share a funny story with you on the inspiration of Councillor Smith. My funniest story is when I first joined council and was receiving frequent calls from a resident in Lynbrook who would just talk to me. After the 3rd call, she said to me, "I know I'm not paying you for this service, but because you are a councillor, I had to call you and I find you so easy to talk to." She was under the misapprehension that I actually was a councillor, as in someone you go and talk to, rather than an elected councillor who represents the community. And I wondered about these phone calls, and I thought, well, I'm only new to the job. I better give her a good hearing. So that was one of my funniest ones, but there have been so many others. Some I can't tell you. I'd like to say thank you to David Davis MP. I believe he complimented this council this evening in Parliament, and I have to say what his words were is that we are a good council, if I'm not misquoting him. And can I just say, we are a good council, we are a great council, we have worked so well together, and we have always listened to the community, and we have always had the intention of delivering the very best for this wonderful city. So I've always set out to do good and to help others, and I will never forget the experience that I've had. And the outstanding community that I have had the privilege of serving and will remain eternally grateful. God bless you. Thank you.
Councillor Cristani.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thanks to a lot of people, actually. Thank you, first of all, to God for sustaining me and my family through over 7 years of elected council service with you all and previous. I thank my husband, Anthony, and our 2 amazing children for their incredible support. I thank Reformation Harvest Fire Ministries, led by Reverend Daniel Nalaya. I thank my entire network of friends. I thank my mother, my sister Cindy, and my brother Wal, the Steckers and Cristani families. I thank the Four Oaks Ward and wider Casey community who have had the honour to serve. I'm thankful for so many victories and joint achievements so far. I thank the council officers and fellow council members I have worked with at the state and federal government levels, past and present, community groups and various organisations. Of the officers, I specifically want to thank Sheena Frost, Callum Paddy, David Richardson, Trevor Griffin, Gavin Wilson, Kate Sear, James Collins, Chloe Casey, Reese Madalis, Kerry New, Holly DeCretzer, Ray Butler and Peter Fitchett, and many more from being the most humble and faithful Casey officers. Thanks to Councillor Gillage for her unbending support and faith. I thank former mayors, some of which are in the chamber tonight, Mr Rob Wilson and Mr Brian Oakes, and others I may have missed. I thank Robin Zeddens and various others who have served and been vigilant members of our community, many who passed the baton to us with exemplary legacy. Joint achievements are too numerous to name tonight, Madam Mayor. I'll just highlight a few. The Christmas nativity scene in remembrance of the birth of Jesus and Christmas tree at Bunjil Place, 1001 steps at Bayview Park and Narre Warren North, the Endeavour Hills Town Centre and new skate park, upgrades to numerous reserves, including the Endeavour Hills Men's Shed at Sydney Pargeta. I have made a commitment to my community to aim to provide a peaceful and united city with purpose, safety and security, to listen to them and even at times vote against some very challenging situations, including the mosques, where the community didn't want them, and so I voted no, particularly in green wedge zones. I worked on problem nature strip trees, safe internet use for children, and I was the chair of the Casey Safety Committee, the Casey Environment, which is Conservation Committee, the Access and Inclusion Committee. We have strengthened ties with the Aboriginal community through the Inter-Council Aboriginal Committee and other functions we do here. The social support grants we have lobbied for and funded through council funds, and particularly more recently for the Andrews Centre in Endeavour Hills. The forum established after community concerns on the unsafe school programs, and with your crucial support, Madam Mayor, we were able to hold that here at Casey. I moved to keep the Marriage Act unchanged, moved to lobby to protect churches' rights and freedoms. And Madam Mayor, if you and everyone, if we had picked up the City News, you may have read a Bible scripture at the end of the Four Oaks section. So it will be fitting for me, Madam Mayor, to finish with the following 2 Bible scriptures, and I hope that they will give us all comfort during this time. I want to start with Psalm 91, verse 1 to 9. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and fortress, my God, in him I will trust. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked, because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. And to finish, Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Signing off for now, with kind regards, Rosalie Cristani, Councillor for the Four Oaks Ward. Thank you. City of Casey.
Councillor Jeff Ablett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the opportunity to speak. It's been a very frustrating and emotional draining time for me, being in the paper a lot. But there is an investigation on, as the good residents of Casey would know, and there are many more to be interviewed after me. But nothing would have, in my mind, resulted in the actions that were taken today. I've answered all questions honestly and provided proof for those answers. I want to thank my colleagues and the great people. I've had so many emails from Balla Balla people for projects that I've been involved in over the last 12 years. Something I want to tell everyone from Casey, if you've got any doubts about how this City of Casey is tracking, when we had to appoint a new CEO and Mr Glenn Patterson over here, within 6 months we'd restructured the City of Casey to save just on $40 million a year, and that $40 million a year goes directly back into capital works and other services for the city. So that's something you didn't know. And we knew, but I wanted you to know that tonight, that we achieved that. We're now one of the most leanest running, fastest growing, number one. I think Cranbourne East Clyde is still the number one fastest growing area. And on a rate capped environment, to provide the community centres, kindergartens, schools, and the funding, as Councillor Rowe was talking about before, working with other levels of government. I think we've been second to none. It is frustrating for you, and it's been really frustrating for me, and I thank you for your good behaviour tonight and giving me a chance to speak. It's not easy being in a public interviewing situation where you're open to the press and allegations, etc., etc. I can't be more straight than that. I've cooperated fully, as other councillors who are yet to come will as well. But again, I will say what I said in the paper today, nothing deserved the outcome that we got today. So I'm extremely disappointed. And for you, Madam Mayor, you're doing an outstanding job, and you have had your year cut short. We voted you in. And to all my colleagues and all those, I see Rex Flannery, outstanding as well. Good to see you here tonight, Rex. And rest assured, by the CEO and officers, the great work that they do, the great work of Casey will continue without the council. And it will, because you have the best CEO in Australia. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ablett. Councillor Rosario, did you want to say something?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a little bit different than the others, but in meetings we tend to talk through the chair, which is the mayor. But today I felt that I wanted to talk to you, and with the mayor's blessing, she has allowed for this to occur. Because today I stand before you, here for you, and that's what it's all about for all of us here. That we put up our hands and we wanted to serve our community and to do something good. And good comes in many different forms. And the good people around us have done the very best that they can for our city. And that's all we can ever ask in our lives, is to do the very best that we can for the people around us. That's what a community is all about. And I got onto council when I was 30 years old. And I thought I was a grown-up at 30. But I did my growing up on council. I learned so much from all of you sitting here today, and from our wonderful community, from our council officers, because I learned to see things from different perspectives. I learned about issues that I never even heard of before. And when I was a new councillor, I didn't even know where to begin. But talking to people like you gave me the direction that I needed to be able to serve you. And as you know, and many of you may know, we've suffered some struggles in our lives. Here in my family, 2 of my children have passed away in the last 7 years during my council term, and that really does hit you hard. And what gets me up in the morning, what still gave me the drive to push on and to carry on was you. all of you, my colleagues, my friends, my family. Because without that support, I may not have crawled out of that hole that we found ourselves in. And that's what I learned about community. I thought I knew community, I thought I knew what it was about, and then I met all of you. 7 years working together, thinking about all wonderful things that we've achieved together. I just want to highlight some of that. And I'll start with Dufton. Dufton's very near and dear to my heart because I used to live there when I was a kid. And when I went back as a new councillor and when I was campaigning, I worked out it hadn't felt like it changed a lot. So working with council officers who already had some ideas around what Dufton could look like, we sat down, we came up with a plan. Councillor Smith and I worked really hard on the consultations to make sure that we had the community along for the ride. And if you go to Dufton today and you see Autumn Place, go to the community hub, take a look at what that looks like now. Dufton's no longer the place where people say, oh, it's getting dark, better go home. Now it's a place where people say, this is really good. Let's take our family. Let's have a nice afternoon out. And that is a huge difference when a family can go out and have that time together. So if you haven't been to Dufton yet, get over there and take a look. Our sporting facilities have been well looked after up there. I know some people say, sporting facilities, always sporting facilities. Fitness is important, and people have their passions, just like they do for the arts. So we support all of that. And Wayne and I have been an amazing team who have stood up, and we've balanced the needs as best as we can. And we've worked with our officers to be able to do that. The Dufton Show, one of our most proudest committees that we've ever served on. Wayne and I are volunteers on that committee, as well as council delegates. The good people there put on a show every year. We've done, I think the highest we've ever gone was maybe 27,000 people in one day. And this is a community group coming together to do the work. And when Wayne and I looked at that, and Wayne did it long before I did, but when I came along, I said, I've got to volunteer. Because that's what I learned from that community. So we volunteer. And I encourage all of you, if you haven't tried it, volunteering is not something that takes up a lot of time. You can put as much or as little as you want into it, but every bit helps to make a better community. So I'm very proud of the Dufton Show. I'm very proud of My Unifarm, which is an amazing facility that's getting a lot of investment. Very proud of everything that we've done in that area because they deserve it. You deserve the very best that this city has to offer, and you should not be forgotten because new areas are springing up. And you won't be forgotten because the good people of this council will continue that work. They will continue to support all of you when we go. Hallam has also gotten the, it's getting some works now with the Hallam Recreation Reserve, which is fantastic. That's much needed works at the moment. We also have Hallam Spring Square, which was a very near and dear project to my heart. And if you go to Hallam Spring Square today where Coles is, it's a different place. Jobs were created, and it's a place where people are comfortable to go and to have a nice day to shop and to get what they need in life. So Hallam's been well looked after. Hampton Park, this is my home, and home is very important. Hampton Park, some people have seen that in the news, and it's copped a bad rep. It has, because we have snapshots of what Hampton Park or aspects of Hampton Park look like, but never the whole thing. Hampton Park's a beautiful area with beautiful people in it. It's a wonderful community who stick together and help each other. And we have the Australia Day celebrations every year. We have Chinese New Year celebrations. We have wonderful facilities. Our sporting facilities get looked after as well. River Gum Reserve Creek across the road. And a very special project to my heart, one that I've really worked hard to drive, and Wayne feels the same way about this. It's the Hampton Park Community Hub. We have all these old buildings, separate services, and we're going to build a single building that will house them. Something to be inspired by, to look forward into the future. Because investment's important. See, if you feel that you live in a dump, you will treat your home like a dump. But if we give you something to be proud of, like what Dufton had, then you change the way you feel about where you live because you don't feel like that you live in a dump. You feel that you're proud to live where you are. And so you should be proud of this city and what it has accomplished. 8 years on, it's been, nearly 8 years, it's been a journey. And it's been very special to my heart to be here with all of you and to serve you. I leave proud that this city has been well looked after by not just myself, not just my colleagues, but the council officers from years before who have built that framework for me to walk into. They made it easy. You make it easy. And when the next set of councillors come through sometime in the future, I wish for them to have prosperity and success, because they will need to pick up where we left off and continue to build a better community. We're growing so fast. There is just no time to stop. Can I also just quickly pay tribute as well to the Casey's Conservation Advisory Committee? That's Casey's oldest environment committee. We were once accused of not having an environment committee, but we do. And it's been around a long time. And it's a committee that my dear friend, the late Mick Morland, was very passionate about. And he put that passion in me when I first started on council. And I pay tribute to him and to his memory. And when he left us, I took over as chairman, and I've been proud to work with the wonderful people on that committee. I will miss them. I will miss the work that they do, which is important. If you haven't been to our libraries are very special, Casey Cardinia Libraries. They've transformed the way that I've thought about libraries. Libraries are no longer a place to be quiet, but now it's a place to be able to commune, to have fun, to enjoy, to read a book, to play a game, to learn something new by going to an event. And libraries now are a safe place for people to go. I see school kids going after school to the libraries. They're not getting up to mischief because they're in a safe place doing something productive. And kids today need that sort of direction, because if they don't have that direction, that's when society breaks down. So I'm very proud of that. Casey Neighbourhood Watch, who are a group of volunteers who work hard to promote safety within our community and to help people to be safer, so that when crime happens, we're on top of it, that we stop it from happening. And Casey Radio, as well, is another committee that Wayne and I sit on. We sit on a number of committees together, and because we share the same passions and interests, or similar in a way. And Casey Radio is another one. The Sounds of the Southeast, the voice of the Southeast, give voice to multicultural groups and all sorts of people who can be heard. And another volunteer group, wonderful group of people. I'm very proud to know them, very proud to support them, and I congratulate them on all their work that they do. To my colleagues, to all my councillors here, to Councillor Wayne Smith, I'll start with you, Wayne. You have been my ward partner, my guide, my friend, 7 years. And through that, I consider you family. You are family to me. And he'll be the godfather of my son when I get around to organising it. I'm working on it.
He'll be 30.
It's only 2 years on, but we'll get there. But Wayne, you're a good man. You fought hard for Bunjil Place, and we have it. We all took the risk, and here it is today, and the arts community have benefited ever since. The city of Casey has benefited ever since. So kudos to you, my friend. You have done a great job. To Councillor Gary Rowe, you were someone who inspired me to run as well. Years ago, I met you long before I was on council. And hearing the stories about how you were able to work with people and make a difference, that gave me the idea to do the same. And I am grateful to have met you and to know you and to call you family. Councillor Amanda Stapleton. When I first became a councillor, Councillor Amanda Stapleton was the mayor at the time. And like any good mentor in your lives, you always have people in your lives who take you under their wing at some stage in your life, and they help you to learn and to grow. That's important in a young person's life. And Amanda did that for me. She took me under her wing and she showed me what it was like to be a good councillor, to work with your community, to listen and to serve them. And I watched you and I learned from you. You are the very best of the best, Amanda. And I thank you so much. and godmother to my son as well. We're going to work that one out. So there you go. And they're not godparents because we're councillors. They're godparents because they're good people, good role models, and we love them. We love you all. To our mayor, Councillor Susan Saray. Susan, you have done an amazing job in a very short amount of time that you've been mayor. I gave you some advice when you became the mayor. Be brave, be bold, be courageous. And you have done all of the above. You have pushed the boundaries.
Councillor Rosario, you're not that
Am
much
I
older
up?
than me. So
Not
not that much older than me. So
Yeah, well, that's true. But you know what? You are wise beyond your years. And I congratulate you, and I'm very proud of you. We started together. We will end together. And it's been an amazing journey. Congratulations. To Councillor Ablett, you were the mayor twice. And you were always looking after me as the mayor. I remember you would always say, be front. When the mayor got up, Jeff would say, be right here, up front with me. Don't stand over there. Because he said, I'm in your ward, this is your area, and you need to be seen because you work hard here. And I've always remembered that, and I've always appreciated that about you, Jeffa. Thank you very much. It's been an honour to serve with you for the last 7 years. Councillor Cristani, we started together, and it's been a hell of a journey because we've been through our ups and downs, but we've always stuck together because we are family. We are all family. And I will always remember the times that you were there for me when I needed you. When, as a person, you came to visit us in hospital as our child was dying, and you prayed with us. And I'll remember that for a long time because it shows what's in here. And that shows in your community work as well. So you've done your job. You've done it well. Congratulations. I'll wrap up shortly, Madam Mayor. I know I've ran out of my 5 minutes a little while ago. But all right, let me just finish shortly by saying that there are questions around why we stayed and haven't resigned. I'm going to address this now. And I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure the sentiment will be shared. But the reason why I didn't resign and leave, why I'm staying until the end, is because, I was advised, if you resign, it's a better look because you've left. Better for your reputation. But the difference between resigning and dismissal, yes, dismissal sounds worse, for sure. But to me, the difference between resigning and dismissal is abandon the oath I took to serve this city, or to stay and honor my oath until the end. I choose to do that. We choose to do that. That's why these people are still here. Not because we want to have the title of councillor for as long as we can. That is meaningless to us. It is because we promise to serve you, and we will stay until the end to serve you. And that is who we are and what we do. So, I will say that it was always for our community, for you, always for you. And maybe one day, I will stand with you here again, here, in this place where I belong. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I didn't know whether I'd do this, but I will. I'm an old school councillor, I suppose, and one of the things I always try and do, I miss it sometimes, is I try and acknowledge former colleagues, and there's a few in the room tonight, and I will do it again for the last time. Former Councillor Flannery's, Wilson, Oates and Keller, and I hope I haven't missed anyone else, but no matter how you left this chamber or the fact that you were here and you were elected, you deserve that recognition. So, I'm glad to see them here tonight and to do that for the last time. When I got elected in 1993, it was to the North Ward of Cranbourne Council, which was basically Hampton Park. And then in Casey, I represent Rivergum Ward, which is the older parts of Casey, basically, Hampton Park, Dovedon, Hallam, the older parts of Hallam, and of course Lynbrook, which has become a very important part for me because that's now where I live. It's a tough gig, the Rivergum ward, simply because it's older, it's more established. It's very difficult for the residents of that ward to look at all the other new developments going on. Every time I go to the opening of a new oval, I think, I hope no one from my ward's here, because they're going to be pretty amazed to see what other wards are getting. And that's simply because you are in an established area, we're landlocked, and that is a problem. But to our credit, I think over the years, the councillors that I've served with in Rivergum ward, we've achieved a lot. And just name a few. I'm always proud when I drive around the ward, and I think, well, I'll start with another story. In 1993, when I got elected, I was advised by a very good friend who was a politician at the time, now retired, who said, when you stand for council, you don't mention anything other than rates, roads, rubbish, and you don't talk about that stupid art stuff that you're on about, because that's why I got on council. I got onto council because there was no recognition for the arts, because that was my background, that was my passion. So I did. I got on. Rates, roads, and rubbish was always the mainstay, and I think we achieved a lot. And particularly Hampton Park. Every reserve in Hampton Park has had major upgrades in my time. Cairns Road didn't exist; it was just a thought. Now it's there. Hallam Rec Reserve has done well. Doveton, the soccer and the football fields in Doveton. And of course Lynbrook got a sports field, which was fantastic. You haven't got onto that yet. Things like my passion for the arts, sometimes I get criticised for it, but I walk out of this chamber tonight proud proud of those achievements. And Susan Bergman's here. Susan and I have had long association and very successful. We have two babies. One's the Cranbourne Theatre and one's the factory. And I embarrassed her one day at the opening of the factory when I said, Susan Bergman, have an announcement to make. We have a baby. We have a love child. And it is the factory, and it wouldn't have happened without her support and her nagging. You know, I use Susan as a threat to councillors often. I say, if you don't give it to me, Susan Bergman's going to be on to you. So anyway, and it's not an insult. That's a good thing. Things like the Hallam Theatre. You know, another thing came out of left field, an opportunity, and Brian Oates is in and it wouldn't have happened without Brian, because Brian seized an opportunity with some funding that became available, and we got that, and that's about to go a bit of an upgrade as well. When I got onto council, I came from a theatre background, but we had arts groups, we had visual arts groups, we had choirs, we had all sorts of disciplines in the arts, but they never talked to each other. There was no discussion. I was involved in theatre, and when I was involved in theatre in those days, if you're a member of a theatre company, you didn't talk. You didn't talk to any other theatre company. They were the enemy. You didn't share ideas. If you did a play or a show with one company, you couldn't go to any other company ever. You were stuck. And I think one of the things we've achieved in Casey is that everyone talks. Max Hunter's not here, but Max, I have to credit with, was helping me establish the Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee. It was then. It's now the reference group, where we got all those groups together, and they do talk now. You know, in this room there are people from various choir groups that all talk and share members. I think there's a couple of choirs where there are people in members of every choir, which is fantastic. I do take an interest and believe I am a strong advocate for the vulnerable in our society, people that, segments of our society that have trouble getting people willing to stand up for them and represent them. And I look to the multi-faith group as one. It took 3 attempts to get it through council, but we finally made it. There was a lot of scepticism about it, and a lot of people who misunderstood what I was about. I'm not a religious person at all, and some people felt, what's he doing anyway? But I'm a strong believer, and I'll fight to the end for, if you're a legal religion, you have a legal, and it's a legal organisation, you have the right to practice your faith, and I've been a strong advocate for that, and become a friend of all the communities, the Sikh community, the Indian community, the Islamic community. I've got friends in all of those communities, and I'm very proud to have stood up for them. My stance on marriage equality didn't win me a lot of friends, but in the end, it was the nation. The nation did support it, and I was very proud to be part of that. And in the occasions that came up in council business, I was an advocate for that. Councillor Rosario talked about me being a ward partner. I have to say, yes, I do offer Damien lots of advice. I've offered him lots of advice. He doesn't listen to most of it. So, no, not true. He listens. He just doesn't follow it. But it's been a privilege in the last 3.5 years to work with him and see how he's changed. He would never have got up and spoken at a podium 3.5 years ago. Maybe I created the monster. I don't know. I want to thank our officers here at Casey. It's always been a privilege. I've seen many come and go, and we've got a great team and have had lots of good people over the years as well who have moved on to bigger and better things. And I've been very proud to be asked to be a referee for many of them as they've moved on, and that's been great. Particularly want to... Whoa. I'll acknowledge pardon me, oh, it's a bit much. The arts team here. They are family, and they tell me tonight that they're not letting me go, that I'll still be around and consulted, and I look forward to that. And I've made friends with people on all sides of political parties. I have my beliefs and strengths and my memberships. Councillor Rowe talked about the fact that we're on opposite sides of politics, but in the end, we've remained mostly civil with each other and friends, and even in the days of Cranbourne when I was on council and he was the Member of Parliament, we had many a good social occasions. Late nights at Kelly's Hotel, we were reminiscing the other day. They were good times. So I thank him. But all friends on all sides of politics, you are my friends and will remain so. And I have to acknowledge that you don't achieve anything on this council unless you have the majority of support. And everything I've achieved, I've had the majority of the support of councils. Well, you have, because you wouldn't get it unless. Bunjil is my sorry, baby. My third baby, yeah. They'll ask for maintenance soon, probably, won't it? So I have to be careful, so I better shut up. Every time I come to this place, it's an honour. I was out somewhere recently with my daughter. She's not here. I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. We were out somewhere and someone said in front of her, they asked me, where are you living these days? And Amy just said, Bunjil. He's always at Bunjil, but I'm proud to be here. There were the people who didn't like Bunjil being built. There was criticism at the time, and there still is now. I'm looking at the Facebook page and there's people having a go now. But the people have voted with their feet, there's no doubt about it. This did cost a lot of money. But it was very well managed in terms of loans and the debt we have, which is very little compared to anyone else that could have built this sort of facility. The fact that we thought 1 million people would come through the doors a year, and we've had in excess of 2 million every year. So you can't argue with those numbers. And the fact that I'm very lucky. I know lots of people in the entertainment business, producers and directors, who come here and tell me that this is a fantastic venue. They get well treated. The fact that we get the top comedians in Australia coming to Bunjil, I never even imagined that 3 years ago that'd be something we would have. But when they're not coming because we're inviting them, they're not coming because we're paying them to come here or hiring them. They're coming because they know that the crowds are here and they're paying. It's not a cheap place to hire for an event, but they're doing that because the numbers and the support is here. So. Very proud of that. So I'll end on that note, other than say I'm not going away. I'll still be around. I'm still and always have been an active volunteer in the community. If you're around Berwick Show on the weekend, it'll be my 15th year running the stage and entertainment at the Berwick Show. Doveton Show in September. I think I'm up to about 7 or 8 years there. And a very important date on the calendar is on April the 19th here, which is a Sunday in the Bunjil Theatre. I'm very proud to be part of the team that's putting on Casey Cares, a fundraising concert for the bushfires, and we've got some pretty big announcements we're hoping to put out soon about who's coming. We know Stephen Dennis and Bonnie Anderson from Neighbours are appearing. Gary Pinto, very well-known singer around, he's appearing. And we've got 2 other big names who have agreed verbally. We've just got to get them over the line, so hopefully we'll be able to announce that. And we hope that night will raise $10,000 or more for, and the committee that's organised have decided that money will go to animal welfare, so that's it. I just wanted to tell it, I always try and end with something light. My daughter Amy couldn't be here tonight. But she did send a message that she couldn't come. She's a zookeeper at Healesville, and she sent me a message saying, I'm running late. I don't think I'm going to get there because we've had a koala escape, and I'm up a cherry picker trying to get it out of a tree. So I've asked her to bring the cherry picker here and get us out of here, maybe. But I want to thank Kieran, my son's here, Hina, long-time sufferer, Virginia, an old mate. I used to teach her kids, and she's still friends, and that's pretty, yeah, still. And I'm still traumatised from it. So, but no, there's lots of friends in this room. And I'm very proud and honoured that, and they will always be friends. So thank you.
Thank you. There are no closed council items, so I declare the meeting closed.